Welcome to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast with your host, wealth coach Wade Reed.
Hey, what is up, Money Masters? It's Wade Reed here for another episode of the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. And guys, I am fired up today. I just spent the weekend with a group of amazing entrepreneurs. Again, amazing. Why? Because they are working on themselves in a deep way and they're making a huge difference in the world, solving problems, creating value, and serving others. That's really what it's about, isn't it? We are out to make a living for ourselves, to build wealth by serving others. That's really the only way it happens. And this group has come together into a mastermind that I've been a part of and that I've been serving as a member of the Family Bank strategy team through Paradigm Life. You guys know that I've talked about that in many episodes, and it's so fun to add this really foundational product and strategy into somebody's life so that they have the mental stability, they have the ease of conscience, knowing that their what if scenarios are handled and they have a great place to store their cash that's growing at a great rate so they don't have to feel so urgent about always being invested, because literally it's an investment-like return with no risk. So what I'm fired up about, though, is this connection between what we are earning and what we are doing with our money, and the proactive nature with which we must do that in order to enjoy our life along the way. How many of us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, and as just high-performing individuals in our business lives or employment, guys, we are out there to try to make a difference, and we're so busy in the grind sometimes that we forget to play. We forget the need for self-development. We forget the need for self-expression. We forget the need to engage in hobbies and something of passion that keeps us going. I mean, when you're working anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week sometimes for high-octane entrepreneurs working in your businesses, it gets to be drudgery at times. And we have to rejuvenate. We have to renew ourselves. So this weekend was part play and part learning, what I call living wealthy and learning wealthy. So what I did is we took Thursday, the event started Friday, but we took Thursday to go play. Me and some buddies who are part of this group, we flew down to Las Vegas and we had a nice lunch together, and then we went to exotics racing. Anyone listening ever been there? If you have, comment, share a note, pass on the love, because exotics racing is fantastic. It's on the south end of the Las Vegas city, and you can hire supercars. You can literally rent out a supercar and take it around for from 5 laps to 20 laps. Most people do 5 to 10. I chose 7, and I jumped in this Porsche GT4 RS, top speed of 150 miles an hour or more, and it was on a 1.3 mile racetrack. We had professional coaching. We only had about 20 to 30 minutes to learn some of the basics of the car and safety, but we had a coach with us who was a professional driver, coaching us through the turns, how to brake, when to accelerate, how to take the apex of the turn just right to avoid skidding and keeping our speed up throughout that. Man, that was a joy. Man, I'm a race car driver at heart. In another life, I would have been a race car driver if things had worked out just in the right way. But that did not happen in my life. So I get to do this every once in a while in go-karts, and this time in a supercar. This bonding experience with some of my buddies, this bucket list experience for me to get out and drive, to feel like I was in the race car, literally, one that would be on a racetrack at in some other races. Street legal, but race ready. So we got to play. That was rejuvenating for me. That was joyful for me. That really filled my bucket so that I can do the busy work of the day-to-day entrepreneurial life. So if you haven't done something like that, man, get that on your schedule. Somewhere between every 6 weeks to 3 months, you got to go do something fun. You got to take an extra day, go play. That's called living wealthy. We have a right and we have a need, in fact, to use some of the money that we're earning to go create experiences. That can be individually, that can be with your family, with your spouse. I know in my marriage dynamic, if we aren't getting away quarterly to have at least one night, sometimes 2, to be together, to do some dreaming, to do some deep discussion, to connect and bond emotionally, to just be together without our children, to go to some nice restaurant, a nice hotel, do something fun, go to a show. Man, that stuff just keeps us together. How many of you out there have had a bad relationship? How many of you out there have gone through some divorce and how painful that was emotionally as well as financially? So if we can invest ahead of time, proactively in our relationships, big deal to avoid those types of situations in the future if you've already experienced it. Or if you're maybe on the cusp, man, get proactive, get into a counseling, be humble enough to see the value of some sort of counseling or coaching, be proactive in that relationship, because there's nothing better. I mean, I commented boldly last time that no success outside of the home will ever compensate for failure in your home life. Nothing will compensate for failure in that area. No success will ever do that, because it's all out there. It's all outside of you. You got to be connected with yourself. You got to look at those emotional triggers that are going on, those beliefs and those patterns that are driving you. You got to be willing to take an introspective look. And so that's the personal development side. That's why I'm in coaching, because I like to help people move into that space so that they can then move through into a better version of themselves, to be empowered to live differently, to recognize unhealthy patterns and identify some things that can be done to improve and overcome those unhealthy patterns so that you can be even more successful. And remember, there's 4 other areas besides money. There's mental, spiritual, social, and physical. So we got to take care of that stuff. And this weekend's mastermind was almost exclusively on those topics. We had many speakers in there and sessions where there was some sort of person in the hot seat, bringing up a topic that allowed for the whole group to learn from what they were having difficulties with. It was just a powerful weekend because all of these people who were there had paid anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000 to be a part of this mastermind. I mean, these guys are ponying up some big bucks to be a part of this group. Why? Because there's deep learning. There's strategic guidance. There are specialists in all these different areas of personal finance and business. Tons of real estate investors, tons of business owners doing service-based businesses and many other things. Really forward-thinking, proactive people, and yet stuck, reaching certain glass ceilings because they haven't done enough of the inner work, the mindset, the emotional work, the things about your belief systems that aren't actually true, that are just in your reality and in your perception. They appear to be true, but in other people's experiences, they're absolutely not. And guys, I'm not saying I've got this totally dialed in. There are certainly some blocks I'm dealing with, and I'm getting coaching myself to work through that stuff. A coach has to be coached himself or herself in order to truly be a product of the work that they do. And I am totally in on this type of work. So what maybe was something that came up. So there was one example that was really kind of interesting. This woman who was adopted, grew up in the central part of the United States in a very white community, and yet she's physically Asian. Like, her heritage is of Asian background. And she had this mental block that came up about her feeling different all the time. She didn't fit in. And so the guy on the stage was coaching her through some of these beliefs that she had taken on, and recognizing that they were really just her false beliefs, things that were not actually true and not actually stopping her from being successful, just perceptions. And she had a breakthrough moment. It allowed her to change the script in her life, in her belief, in her way of doing things. And of course, you can't immediately change your life on the stage, but you can have that visceral moment where it was so impactful and memorable that it can change the trajectory of your existence, the way you do things. And I've had some of those over the past couple of months as I've been with people who have had different experiences that I've never observed before, that I've never been around before. In fact, one guy I met, just an incredible hearted guy, owner of Gold's Gym franchises, the first guy to really bring that across the United States, but then found a niche overseas in the Asian nations and built a huge number of gyms out there, spent 20 years of his life because he found that that niche was totally unserved. And in doing so, living in that culture, found some really powerful exercises such as meditation and mantras and being among the monks and learning the meditative chants and things that can be real helpful for centering oneself, getting clear on one's relationship with God, and establishing clarity on who they are in the world so that they can deliver the highest value. Just some fascinating stories as well, some really bizarre business transactions that this guy had been through, and now sold his business for nearly $2 billion. Just a good dude. It was so fun to learn about this man's experience, meet him face to face, shake his hand, have a dinner with him. So that stuff is out there, man. There's so many people far beyond where you might be that you might not see because you're just stuck in the wrong circles. You might need to get out of your professional space and go be in somebody else's space. Go find out what another industry is doing. Be a part of their industry events. Meet some of their industry leaders and see how they think, how they behave, and how they create value to solve big problems and build their businesses. Masterminds, you don't have to necessarily pay big bucks to be a part of masterminds, but I tell you what, if you want to be a part of a group of really powerful thinkers, the money that you pay for those sorts of things far outweighed by the relationships you develop, the shifts in the thinking, the new ideas that are brought into your life and your mind that can be acted upon in new ways in your life. So I don't know what the whole point of this episode is. Obviously, an advocacy for being proactive in life, whether you're a part of a mastermind, I don't care. But I do care that you guys step up and that you do something different. If you don't get the results you're looking for, step up. Own the fact that you are the designer of the life that you're living today. Every choice that you've made has led you to where you are this instant. It's no one else's fault. It's yours in how you've engaged with life. You get to design your destiny. And if you're not happy with where it is right now, you've got to think differently so that then you can become a different version of you, taking on different behaviors that will get you out of the rut that you might be in right now. And I'm speaking from personal experience, guys. In 2005, I had a vision for my life. I was just so powerfully influenced by a personal finance class that I took that just shifted my career path completely. I was going to be in the physical sciences, exercise and sports science as a major. I was going to become a physical therapist. And I took this one personal finance class based on a deep and powerful influence, a whisper that would not go away that said, you need to take a personal finance class. And guys, I had been praying for years to be guided in the work that I do for my life, seeking a calling. And when God spoke to me and he said, you need to be in this class, and then I saw the people in that class were virtually clueless about money. And I reviewed my life's experiences with money, and it wasn't perfect by any means, but I received some really powerful, positive learnings about money. And I found that that was my career path. That was going to be my life's work. And I set some goals, and I learned about coaches, and I learned about different ways of being in the personal finance space. And I knew I didn't really want to be in the sales side, although I had to go that route in banking and life insurance to learn the ropes, to learn behind the scenes, to see what's really happening, to keep me really closely tied to the learning experience around personal finance and the industry of the financial world. And then I hit my goals. I became a well-respected coach. I became a highly paid coach, a high demand coach. And I've been kind of stagnant, to be honest with you guys, for a couple of years. I've been trying to break out of that into a way to serve more people. And this podcast is one of those ways I finally decided I got to do something different. I got to speak to the world. I got to speak to you guys. I need your help. I need your help to share the message. I need your help to influence me to do things differently than I've been doing. I need your help to know what you actually want, what you're truly ailing with in your business life, in your personal life, where I can create some program, bring in some experts and support you guys. I told you in my last episode, I am creating a wealth group. It's going to be an intimate group at first. It's going to be a high paid group. It's not going to be so far out of reach, though, as I mentioned before. I haven't figured out the pricing exactly yet, but if you have any desire to be a part of that, reach out to me and let's just start communicating. Jump on my socials, connect with me on Facebook, connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me a note and just say, hey, Wade, I'm really interested in being a part of that. I want to be in a group of other entrepreneurial-minded people, business owners, value creators who are trying to up their game. I need to know where you guys are at. Let me know what's going on in your heads. Let me know what you're needing so I can create this to best serve you guys. It's going to be powerful. We're going to up our game. We're going to get into the personal development side of our life because personal finance has to be personal to you. You have to take it personally. You have to care about it. Don't shirk it. Get deeply involved in it. No one else will do it for you. Just like you can't delegate push-ups, you can't delegate your nutrition, you can't delegate the way you interact with your spouse and how deep that relationship becomes. You can't delegate your parenting. We cannot delegate our finances to other people. No one else will care more about it than you. And if you try to delegate it, you typically end up relegating it. And you let somebody else manage your money and you hope for the best. And there's often hardly any oversight by you on the investment strategy, but you have to come to a clear conclusion about what your investment strategy is. And certainly you can have professionals help guide that, but you cannot truly pass it off to somebody else. With the possible exception, let me say this, for higher net worth people who have just totally dialed in their business practices, their personal lives are in a healthy place, and they have full-time team members that they've hired, a family office where they can sit down and go through some sort of planning model to determine the scope of investment strategy, and that their investment manager specifically stays within that investment strategy and there's regular accountability to it. That's proper delegation. And you can't allow people to go and do that. In fact, in large organizations like the life insurance companies I work with, the financial management of the organization is delegated. But there are strict guidelines around that stuff. We need to bring those types of principles into our personal lives. We need to have business-like principles in terms of the accountability we create around the systems that we have in place for being successful with managing our personal finances. So much of our wealth is tied up in real estate. So much of our wealth is tied up in business. Oftentimes it's 60 to 90% of our wealth is tied up in the equity of these assets that we've acquired and are creating. And so we have to learn the skill of taking the cash flow that's coming in and managing it properly so it's not wasted. It has so much important use in the world for not only your business activities, but the charitable giving I'm sure you have in your heart that you want to do. I'm certain that there are causes because everyone that I have worked with who gets out of the basic day-to-day of just paying their bills and has some surplus to work on and their businesses are functional and being managed pretty well, there's this desire to seek some sort of life's purpose. And that life's purpose typically, in fact, I would venture to say every single person I've worked with has said it is about helping other people in tough situations, doing some sort of mission work in the local communities that we're in or often overseas in third world countries. We are so richly blessed. And I've harped on this in prior episodes as well, the principle of 10%. God has instructed us, not for his benefit, but for our own, to take the resources that we have been blessed with, the stewardship over those resources we earn because of the value we create, and give 10% of it to help our fellow man, to lift them out of their tough situations, to help bring them some sort of solace and help, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to lift the downtrodden. Such a joy, by the way, to do that stuff. If you haven't ever done some sort of mission work or been a part of a soup kitchen or given generously beyond what you typically do and seen the outcomes, not just the fact that you gave some money, but actually see the outcomes, to maybe go volunteer to see that the money that you donate to your cause actually comes to fruition and you get to be a part of it. Donate some of your valuable time to be a part of that stuff rather than just your money. So guys, there's some passion coming out here today, right? I hope you're finding it helpful and motivating. I want to see you guys so dang successful that you can do anything that your heart desires, and particularly that's good in the world, that continues to promulgate, that's a tough word to say, propagate or promulgate the great good that needs to happen in the world. We are God's hands. Please don't be offended by that. I believe in a higher power and I call him God. And if you see it in a different way, that's just fine, but please don't be offended by my language. I believe we are divinely created. We are here as spiritual beings in a physical body to learn in an accelerated way how to overcome what we call the natural man, the person within us that wants all of the vices of the world, that wants to go out and do anything we want with whomever we want, however we want, however often we want, and often gets stuck in vice, in addictions, in unhealthy behaviors. Our role, a major role of this world, in my belief, is that we are here to overcome that, to become closer to our spiritual nature, to connect the physical body to the spiritual nature that we have. And that as we do that, we can do even more good in the world through our businesses in the right way, to not get sucked into the cheating and the greed and the selfishness, but to do it for the right reasons, because we care about people, that the people we serve really do matter, that the solutions we're providing aren't just to get money, but they actually do solve problems. Isn't that beautiful, guys? To be a part of something like that? We are the value creators of the world. We are out there solving big problems, and we need to take care of ourselves. We have to. Guys, get into a morning routine that sets your day up to be powerful. Do something that's intentionally designed every morning. It's a behavior that I've used for many, many, many years. For about the past 15, 16 years, I've had a morning routine that includes body, mind, and spirit. I take care of my physical body, my spiritual body, and my mind. Scripture is a part of that. Prayer is a part of that. Meditation, affirmation, declarations, physical engagement through working out, mountain biking, running, getting myself exhausted so that I can renew and rejuvenate my physical body, which then renews my mind, clears the toxins out of my body so my mind can think clearly and I can be really engaged in the work that I do. So I'm curious, are you guys doing that? Drop some comments, share what's working for you. Let's lift each other up. Let me know so I have some anecdotal evidence to share with more people. Get on my socials and make some comments, guys. I need to hear from you so I know that the work that I'm doing here actually matters, that there's some positive influence happening. Send me an email. I don't care what it is, but let me know. I need some feedback. And I have an announcement, guys. This is episode number 32. I committed when I first started this podcast to get to at least 50 episodes. So I'm getting close to that. And I've been looking at the metrics on the content and thinking about how I like to receive podcast content. And I have found that dialogue is often more interesting than just a talking head. So thank you for your patience in hearing me as a talking head in many episodes. I'm going to be doing significantly more interviews, and I'm going to be bringing in high-level entrepreneurs to get perspective on how they're accelerating their wealth creation. So I've got a list of 10 to 15 people that I'm going to be reaching out to and scheduling interviews shortly. There is a possibility that I'll take a short break so that I can get those interviews done and edited. You may hear me on a talking head for a couple more episodes in that interim, or you may hear silence. I'm not 100% certain yet. I'm leaning toward just doing some more talking head, just sharing some passion thoughts in my next podcast episodes as I prepare to do those interviews. And so watch for that. We're going to have some really cool people on. Really, really cool people. I'm so excited for what's to come. Man, I just can't wait. So we're gonna hit that 50 mark, and then after that 50 mark, I've got a relationship in my life who said he's going to be able to get me connected with some other high-profile people and start to really build the messaging with very interesting and influential people. So watch for that, guys. I'm so excited to share that with you. I wish you to have a wonderful, wonderful day. I wish you to have a great life. I want you to have the best life. In fact, live a life that you absolutely are in love with. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. We hope the insights from today's episode help you streamline your finances and grow your wealth stress-free. For show notes from today's episode and more tips on creating a comprehensive wealth-building plan, visit moneymasterycoaching.com. Remember, financial freedom is attainable. Until next time, keep accelerating towards your goals. See you on the next episode.